good morning. Welcome, bienvenue. Welcome to Modern Sales Meltdown with David Treacle, Chernick, and Gareth Wax of the Many Hats. David is somewhere between hell and wherever it is, in a traveler's rest or something similar. But we are here talking about LinkedIn sales, the fact or the myth. Can you sell directly via LinkedIn? Well, can you, David?
Well, I don't want to get into a fight with you, Gareth, but I do want to challenge you a little bit. I want to be able to hear some good news stories about it, because I have to say that my own lived experiences of it and the lived experiences of many people who I speak to who are all over LinkedIn are that it has just become a pile of noise and really a vanity parade for salespeople. We call it social media, but it doesn't seem to be that much social going on. It seems to be more people just trying to promote themselves and push a message and get attention and that kind of thing, rather than anything that, in my mind, when it comes to closing deals, leads to actual business relationships.
I hear you. The way in which it's been, because there's been a shift, obviously. The way in which it originally was a glorified job board, then it moved over to being a promotions a site, then it became the largest single business database, with everybody vying for attention, and then came along the amazing, incredible, or destructive and horrendous AI, depending on your point of view, which meant that it homogenized output, so it all looked the same. And on top of that, it was just a bunch of white noise, and occasionally someone popping its head over the top of it. And all of that is true, and everything you said is true, except for one thing. I tell you what it's done. All of that has meant that the focus has now become on the human connection, and that's really where it needs to be. And in my view, the conclusion right now is believing it's just as a numbers game or a cold outreach platform is the real delusion. Sales in 2025 come from being visible and building trust from human.
Building trust. I'm all about that. So I suppose then.
If I'm going to put one statement out there, it would be to drop the pitch on LinkedIn, show up, add value, demonstrate your capability, and be human about it. Stop. What I would like everyone listening to stop doing, this is behavior I'd like people to stop doing, is when you first make a connection with someone or attempt to make a connection, in the same breath or in the next breath, try and sell them your Okie Kokie 2000.
Oh man, pet hate.
This all the time, and not only that, can also want to start one behavior, and this is the worst behavior of all. They write a message. I get. My VA says I get between 150 and 200 new connection requests every day, and thankfully she deals with most of it. Yeah, wow. But most of them follow this format. Hi, I've been following you and really love your great knowledge and expertise in your area. No statement of what that area is. So immediately you think, well, obviously they haven't read a damn thing. And I really think that we could collaborate on what they mean. They misuse the word collaborate, because what they mean by collaborate is we're going to sell you something.
Absolutely. I had somebody literally this morning say to me that they were looking for collaborations, and I'm like, what's your definition of a collaboration? And a few stuttering words later, it turns out that she just wanted to sell me her services, or more to the point, wanted me to sell her services to my clients. I mean, collaboration is one of those corporate gobbledygook words that's been over.
I think we need to reclaim it. Collaboration is a meeting of minds towards a non-specific destination where both parties contribute towards the final direction. That's collaboration. And And you know what? LinkedIn could be a great collaborative tool, but you need to go in there without the idea that I'm going to do this with that person.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, I come at it obviously from an angle of sales. You know, I mean, the whole marketing thing and lead generation is not my expertise. I refer to people like you for, you know, LinkedIn marketing and, you know, that sort of thing. I'm very interested in, you know, we talked about it before, the rectum end of that sales funnel where I live, the closing, the conversions. And, you know, a lot of the invitations to connect that I get from people who are selling various sort of marketing stuff, lead generation, they talk about closing sales. However, they have, I've never once seen them produce any data or anything to back up the claim of actually producing more sales. Yeah, more visibility. Yeah, more engagement. Yeah, you know, more connections. But where is the damn business at the end of all of this? And it becomes a very time-consuming thing. I was talking to an auditor in a meeting just now, in a networking meeting, and he identified very strongly as an introvert, and that's one of the reasons why he's held back from LinkedIn. But he knows he has to get back on it because he feels left out, not because he thinks it's going to generate more business for him or because he's going to enjoy it, but just because it's FOMO, fear of missing out.
well, hang on. Okay. Well, let me just color this slightly. Where LinkedIn can really play a part is in the following scenarios. You have a proposition, a business, maybe a service, or maybe a product. You know there's an audience out there for it, but what you really need right now is visibility so people know you exist. Nothing more. Visibility so people know you exist. Not sales, but early onset marketing. So that's you know, creating content that is all about rousing people's expectations and getting them to see that what you're doing is slightly different from the norm. So differentiation, that's the key there. But once you've got past that period, which might be 3-6 months, you need to start thinking about, well, perhaps even sooner than that. You need to start turning that interest, or that not so much interest, that awareness of what you do, into finding out who your target audience is and approaching them. And I'm afraid you can really not do that directly with LinkedIn. LinkedIn's good so that when you make that phone call, you can say, if you saw our content on LinkedIn, it's all about X, Y, and Z. And if you haven't, I'll tell you what, I can shoot you over a couple links so you can get an idea of what we're about. But fundamentally, to build a relationship, it's human on human.
So I always, I mean, in my approach generally when I meet new people and I have my business development hat on, I'm straight away thinking of qualification. You know, not necessarily in a mercenary way. You know, are these people going to appear? Do I want these people to appear in my pipeline? But you know, qualification in terms of, you know, do I have the time to invest in developing a relationship with this person? Do I have the time to invest in even in that initial communication? You know, is it going to be worth it to them and me? You know, I'm sure I could get loads of followers. I'm sure I could get loads of engagement and leads, and I'm sure I can appear to be more human even if I do it as a bot. I mean, I can imagine people watching this show. There'll be some people that the next thing they put on GPT is, write this as if I was a human. Write this in the most human language. Yeah, but you know, you can't. In my
but I'm employing people on LinkedIn to stop trying to sell. I want to stop trying to sell.
That's right. Stop trying to sell. It's like when you go to a networking meeting, and you've done it face-to-face networking
many times.
Many times, but there's always a few people in these meetings that will just come up to you and they'll want to shove their business card in your face.
I remember this well. I was at Moorgate. They did that exactly with me. Shoved the card in my face.
Yeah. Now, but nobody goes to networking to buy stuff.
No.
Yeah. Nobody has come on LinkedIn because they're in the market to buy stuff, right? That's not why people are there. So when you are shouting about the stuff that you are selling, it is literally falling on deaf ears because nobody is there to buy it. They've come there often to promote whatever it is they do, often because at some point in the past they were job hunting, I guess. and for the other reasons why LinkedIn was set up, and the fear of missing out. They feel that they have to be there. Then when they're there, they realize, oh crikey, I'm gonna have to promote myself. Everybody's telling me to advertise and promote and post, and then they are literally just promoting themselves to people who are not there to buy.
So what I'd ask everyone is stop being so scattergun. Start being much more finessed about who you're trying to talk to anyway. When you talk to them, stop trying to say to them, would you like to buy my Okie Kokie 2000? Or more importantly, my Okie Kokie 2000, it's the best. None of that nonsense. Instead, what you should say is, these are the topics I'm really interested in, and these are the ones I like talking about. I really like to get your input on those topics. And by the way, I've got this article or these posts out. If you'd like to have a look at, you'll get more of an idea of what things that I'm really interested in, and perhaps even the stuff that I do best at. And then maybe
and you get your clients to do that. Is that how you do get your clients to do that?
Yeah, I do. I guess. I've only got 4 mica here. All right, touching wood. The only reason why we get any success at all is that over time we encourage our client to build a tribe, and those are people who are inclined to read their messaging, and you can tell that because of the feedback they're getting. They're getting, that's on the money. We're talking about a topic that I feel strongly about, and all the rest of that. Once you get to the point where, and this could take, this is the problem, you see, of course, in sales, what you're looking for is leads of people who are actually interested, not leads in people who know how to spell your surname. And that's a problem. Also, the definition of the word lead, I think, needs to be corrected. David, what's your definition of the word lead?
Somebody who is in your space to be able to buy your services, who has not yet become qualified.
Right, but they're in your space. That's the thing. Okay. And what tends to happen, especially on LinkedIn, is people treat that everyone who has a pulse as being in their space.
Yeah. It's very broadcast. It's very, it's people behaving like the big broadcast advertisers who used to be on telly. But they had products that you could sell to a gazillion different people. Most people don't have a product that they can sell to a gazillion people, although they say, oh, anybody would be a good customer for me, which is, you've got to be much more specific. Can you give us any tips then, Gareth, on that first part of that 2-stage process, which was in identifying your target audience? How do you do that on LinkedIn technically?
You'll like this, because this goes along with your own ethos. You ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend at the top of your profile in LinkedIn, in the headline section, which is the portion beneath your first name, instead of putting in, I've got a PhD in this or an MA in that, instead of putting in, I talk about this and I sell that, I recommend you ask the questions that you want people to ask themselves so that they then can, so I've just noticed that somebody has put in a comment, I think it's spam. This is the other problem you get on these kind of broad. But anyway, So you could
put in a question, a prompting question. So for me, take me for an example. You know me pretty
well. Like, for instance, I was going to use me as an example. I wrote on mine. It's actually on my profile now. Do other businesses and people know that you exist? Are they aware of what you're best at? That's because if you read it there, you're probably going to ask it of yourself, and immediately.
So what you're in your headline. Sorry to interrupt, but those 2 questions are in your headline.
Yeah, if you go look at that now, you'll see them there. The point is, if you read that, you're most likely going to ask it of yourself, and if the answer is that strikes a chord with me, you're likely to read down, and at that point you can start doing things. You can start saying, well, here's this article that talks about that topic, or here's this post which refers to something about that. And all you're trying to do there is build your tribe. So instead of sell to people, gather people, try and bring people towards you based on topics, information, knowledge, and questioning. that
Okay.
relate to them rather than relates to you.
Can you give a couple more examples? Like, I mean, an accountant. What sort of questions would an accountant be asking to prompt people?
Hang on. First of all, the problem with accountancy and any of those kind of professions is, on the face of it, they're hard to differentiate between one accountant and another. So you need to find a niche area within accountancy or something about accountancy that you do either slightly differently or that you're championing. So, for instance, we're still talking about make tax digital, for instance, and there's a lot of
literally heard that this morning.
Right. So you could say, I have absolutely made it my focus to be on top of the making tax digital game. It's the thing I eat and drink, and I'm really encouraging people to ask me questions about it because there's a lot of myth about it and a lot of nonsense, and I'm here to disseminate the myth from the good stuff.
So you would ask a question along the lines of, you know, are you digital tax? Are you tax?
Well, no, I wouldn't go as generic as that. I was going to say that. Have you covered all the bases with regards to making tax digital? Do you think that you've got it down pat, or do you still have questions in your mind?
Yeah, okay.
Because we're trying to appeal to that. We don't, because here's the thing, here's the big myth. People on LinkedIn think they can sell to everybody. So if this is the Venn diagram, do you remember them? Venn diagrams of this is the world. This is what people think they're selling to. When in fact, they're selling to those. And they're selling to those. Those are the people who are already predisposed to hear their messaging, if only they said it right. So you don't want to sell to everybody. It's a bit like you can take the horse to water, but you can only, this point is taking that horse to water unless it's thirsty.
So, for example, I've got an accountant mate, very, very experienced, specializes in entertainers, particularly musicians and comedians.
Perfect.
And that kind of, right?
Perfect.
So he would ask a question like, is it possible to make money out of music, sort of thing?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you're looking for the question that's in the zeitgeist. That people, that musicians in that case.
Yeah.
I've
and the
often
musicians go, well, yeah, but apparently you can, but I've never worked out how. And then they're going to read on and, wow.
And what you might say in the bottom half, see, I say ask 2 or 3 questions, and then ask in the bottom, and this is a proper tip I think all of you can do. It's what is funny. No, I've just seen a comment that's come up that's absolutely illustrating the very negative reasons about what people do with their posting. He's basically jumped in and tried to sell us something.
Yes.
Thank you.
He tried to sell us.
He's trying to sell us. This is the best backpack of 2025. It's what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Imran. Without knowing it, you've illustrated our very point. You've got no audience, right? What you've done, and our audience isn't predisposed to buy backpacks. You've jumped in there and you've just laid out your sales pitch without any actual knowledge that people are actually interested in hearing it. And what you've created is white noise. So nobody's going to hear you, mate. I would take it down. You're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, I recently joined a group on Facebook. For people who don't know, I'm from Boreham Wood, a town of 40,000 people. I'm one of the admins on the Boreham Wood Facebook group. So there's something like nearly 30,000 members on it. And so I had reason to join another local one for Watford Business. And again, a lot of members on there. But it's literally full of adverts. On the Boreham Wood one, we don't have adverts, but this one is just literally full of adverts. And I think the only people really who are engaging in that group are advertisers. Nobody is responding to them. You can ask a question in there. Nobody will answer the question. So it's clearly just full of advertisers. And that's often how LinkedIn feels. It's just a group of advertisers. Although I always try and remind myself that if you are in business helping people generate more clients, you know that the people on LinkedIn are people who are looking for more business, at least. Yeah, generally.
So
or people that want to show off that they've made a success in life.
Well, less of that than there used to be, thank goodness. But no, you've got three stratas of people on LinkedIn. You've got the people who are on there lurking, hoping that they're going to get the right inspiration, hoping they're going to get the right answer to whatever the question is they want to ask. Then you've got the people on there who are actively selling, completely ignoring what people actually want and need, and just sort of going blah, blah, blah on big speakers. And then you've got the third people who need to move on from where they are. They need to. And if you provide them with the right stimulus, you'll get possibly a response. Not maybe the response you want, but you'll get a response. And I hate to say it, but being different for the right reasons, being different, demonstrating, for instance, that you are there to listen. You're not there just to sell. You do want to build a relationship, and you are looking for a kind of person who's wanting to discuss and come up with the right solution for them, rather than the one that you happen to have in your backpack. Sorry, Anand, your back there.
Well, look, this has been very, very useful for me personally, and just to be able to have that point about prompting within your headline, prompting with a question directed at your target market.
But it's got to be not scattergun. That's what I please, everyone, stop. You know what it is? I know what it is, David. All these salespeople have got dreadful FOMO. And so they think, but oh shit, I'm missing out the guy from the corner shop. Oh shit, I'm missing out the person from across the road who's walking a dog. Oh my God, I could be including them. So they go scattergun and just, anybody. And I tell you, the one thing we can learn from BNI is to remove the word anyone. That's the most important thing you can stop. Anyone who, no, it's not anyone. It's very specific people, and you can probably describe them. And they are a subset of a subset. So instead of trying to hit everybody, try and find the messaging and the words and the questioning that will attract, will wake up and prick up the ears of that subset, because it's only them.
Speaking of which, I am looking for some decent quality commercial lawyers in or very near the Watford area. I've got quite a bit of business in there, and some good opportunities for decent commercial lawyers. If anybody watching this knows any.
Yeah,
and I won't be selling them anything. This is not for me to sell them something.
No, it's not. It's so they can meet other people, and they can all help each other collaboratively to try and get more sales for everyone. And the only way of doing that is by sharing information and collaborating. That's not selling them up your okie.
So can I ask, Gareth, just for your 30 seconds summary? This has actually been the longest show I think that we've ever done, and it seems like we've got a lot more to talk about here. So sum up in 30 seconds what it is, why we should do it, and where to start.
This is the truth behind LinkedIn sales success. I'm going to hit you with some bullet points, right? Personal profiles way outperform company pages. It's all about how you come across, your humanity. So company pages have minimal organic reach. Human connection drives visibility. All right, human connection. Real people against real people. If you come across as an AI, you'll be ignored and just turn into the white noise. Storytelling. Educational posts talking about how you can help yourself do better or help each other do better without obligation, without saying there's a pound sign on the end of it or a dollar sign, depending on what your currency is. Video and visuals absolutely dominating. If you can put a visual explainer together that in 30 seconds explains your point of view, you'll do far better than someone with a long-winded text post. Polls still work, but only use them strategically, and make sure you use a very few number. So no more than 3 entries in the poll, and don't do it. Do you prefer cheese or bread? Do it something about that really matters, so that people actually have an opinion about. And finally, and this is most important, AI generated copy paste crap completely underperforms right now. Literally, it's sinking through the floor. The algorithm is now, this is the biggest irony about LinkedIn, having put in there, would you like to create it using AI? If you do that, you'll underperform people creating organic tests that really mean something.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Gareth. You really shared a lot of information there that is incredibly valuable, which I know you sell for a living. So people watching this will get it all free.
Yeah, I'm not into, it's going to sound weird. I'm not looking for you to go, well, how do you do this, Gareth? Let me buy your stuff. That's not what I'm interested in. I want you to get, guys, to get your head skewed round by about 45 degrees. So you look at LinkedIn less as the sales opportunity and more as the opportunity to truly collaborate, to find people of similar, like minds, or even completely different minds that you can have a good discussion with. Because out of them, you'll find people who want to hear your messaging.
So thank you very, very much. Thank you, everybody who's watching these. Please send in your questions. We love answering people's questions. Don't spam us. But in the meantime, till next week, 10 o'clock next week, we do it every week. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. And remember, always look after that mental health.
Until next week, bye-bye now.